I never hesitate to go up to the farm and help Eric if he needs help. There's a lot going on the farm all the time. And he, as you've watched his videos, will notice, gets multitasks going at the same time on the farm. I don't know how he does it. I do know that he gets up before dawn and he works till well after the dark most weekdays. So there's a lot of work that goes into the farm. Here he is helping one of two farmers that had crops on his farm. This particular farmer was growing organic corn, and Eric gave him the equipment or helped him with his auger to load the semi-trucks to go to the plant to process. Right after the fields were harvested, of course, Eric was in the fields, disking the fields, opening up the soil, and basically this gives him an opportunity, being the first year on the farm, to really examine the fields that he has and see what those fields might require as far as tile for wet spots. And I do have a picture later on of one of the fields that is behind his house, and you'll see dark spots on that field. Those dark spots are areas that were wet from the rain that they've had. They've had a lot of rain this year, but there are areas in the field that retain the water. Now, breaking the field open does a couple of different things. First, it gives him an idea where those trouble spots are, but it also opens the ground up and lets that water sink in. And so it's a necessary evil to get out there and break that ground up. The ground is beautiful. It's fertile. It's dark and rich, and I didn't see one stone or obstruction out in the acreage that we disked while I was with him for 2.5 hours. The other thing, I said he multitasks. Well, the neighboring farm, who is a dairy farmer, was also harvesting his corn. And later on in this clip, you're going to see Toby bringing a couple of bins of his corn down, and this was the first time on the farm that they actually used the dryer that Eric just had put in, and have put it to the test by running corn through the dryer. And it was a learning process, obviously, but they did quite well getting the dryer up and learning how each batch, how long it had to stay in. Their target was 15.5% moisture on the corn, and they were nailing it. They were getting it right on 15.5%, so they were both satisfied with that. But using that auger in the drying bin, that was a little bit tricky because that auger cannot get backed up. If you get grain that backs up in that auger, it will damage the equipment. It'll jam the auger up, and it can be quite costly to repair it. Here's the field I was talking about that had the wet spots in it, and they're definitely going to need some sort of attention, either tile or breaking that soil up to get it to sink in, to get the moisture out of the ground. The tractor was able to handle the moisture and got through that, but it's something that still needs work. This is the setup for the auger, putting it up into the drying bin. And you'll see shortly a clip of Toby coming in with 2 grain bins, and they got set up and started running it. And you also see the farmer climbing up on top of the grain bin to watch the corn, making sure that it didn't back up or jam the auger while the bins were being loaded. Here's Toby coming in with the first 2 bins. And okay, the farmer's son is also here, watching the whole process and learning as he goes. That's another thing that I really love about this farm. It is a family operation. The boys are very much involved in the day-to-day work and process, and they love seeing what's going on and learning from the activity too. Brent here is on the top of the bin, watching from a bird's point of view, and here's Eric climbing to the top of the bin to watch the corn going into the upper section where the drying takes place. Bringing the drone up to the farm gives me an opportunity to put it up in the air, and you can see the fall foliage and the turning, the changing of the fields. Eric wanted to get some pictures of the farm with all the crops harvested, and I love coming up to fly for him. And it's a lot of fun being up here and being part of the action. I said that he multitasks, and one of the other things that he had going was he had cleared a lot of trees out of a fence row and asked me to bring my saw up and work on a cherry tree that was just behind the farmhouse. And I brought the saw up, and the tree was a fairly large tree for an amateur to cut wood, especially an old man. And I got up there and I took care of it. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. There were a lot of branches, but got it done. We had a great time spending time with the family. You'll see some pictures again at the end of this clip with the family getting together in the farmhouse. Farm life is just a family affair, and I love seeing the kids growing up in this atmosphere. Eric had a Thanksgiving dinner for Grandma and Grandpa that came up to the farm before we left on Saturday night. We had to be back down here for some obligations that we had to fill on Sunday morning at church. But we enjoyed a good meal with the family. It's just a wonderful opportunity for us to spend time with the kids. The grandchildren were trying to talk us into staying longer at the farm, but we got some flying done. We got the good shots from the air of everything getting done on the farm, and then I also had time to run the saw and help him clear some of the trees. So I would appreciate you giving some comments on some of the footage that I'm taking. If there's anything that you'd like to see or things that you think I could improve on, I would really appreciate your input. And I also would appreciate it if you'd like the video that you see here. Hit the like button and share it with others so they can see what's going on here too. Hopefully I will continue to be able to take footage and post stuff on YouTube periodically and keep it interesting. Here's some pictures of the family. This is my little buddy. Out of 9 grandchildren, this one has red hair like his pop. And here's Meemaw in the kitchen with him making cookies, getting ready for Thanksgiving. Since the family moved up north, we are now 2 hours away from our grandchildren, so it's important for us to get some time with the children. Here we are sitting down to a full Thanksgiving meal with turkey and stuffing and gravy and all of the side dishes that come with Thanksgiving. With all the activity in the farm and all the work that the farmer did, he still had time to help prepare the turkey.